There is no secret.
Yeah.
I
The
just use
secret is
everything.
there's no secret.
I just use everything.
Uh-huh.
It's like technique. I mean, you don't use fingers, you don't use wrist, you don't use weight, you use everything.
Mhm.
Now, the secret is how much of this, how you mix them.
And
But
the-
if they start this young enough,
Uh-huh.
it's how much wrist in the octaves. If it's a fast, soft octave, or you use more
Yeah.
arm, it becomes instinctive after a while.
Yeah. So getting them young is important. I mean.
Well, not necessarily,
Mhm.
because there are very good teachers, a lot of good teachers in this area,
Mhm.
and I get them. Some of them are well trained.
But having good training
Teaching.
young
Uh-huh.
is important almost for physiological reasons.
Well, no. You see, part of the talent is coordination. Most of your talented kids who are gifted in piano have this coordination talent. Again, let's use the sport analogy. Good miler or a marathon has this basic thing inside him. He has this talent. He can run fast, or he has fantastic stamina. Now it's up to the coach to cultivate this. And I feel I'm the same way. But part of the talent is the coordination, as well as good ears and good feel for music and the emotional response to certain, like modulation,
Mhm.
And I have to teach them to appreciate, let's say, a turn of a phrase, so that it brings out a certain response in them. Or if it doesn't, or if they have it, to always keep that, so that they don't lose it.
Like a deceptive.
Yeah, deceptive cadence, or or you cannot just or let's say into a Phrygian, it's your color, even keys, D flat, for example, with the flat scales have a different color. Let's you teach them to cultivate this response to say different keys. And a sharp major scale with sharps has a different color. It's a little sunnier, a little brighter. That is a general rule, of course, as opposed to E flat, let's say, or A flat. You know what I mean? Which is a little more, let's say, pastel, as a rule.
When a student comes, I don't know what, 9, 10, 11 young, and they're auditioning for you, and you haven't heard them before. I mean, maybe you've heard about them, but you haven't heard them, had them play. What do you do?
Well,
let me say,
let's
what
say
are you
what they-
looking for?
Okay.
Because I assume they play, you want them to play something.
Yes.
And
And what do you do when they haven't ever had piano lessons before?
yeah, that's a different case,
Uh-huh.
okay?
But let's say they've had.
Each one would be interesting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let's take somebody who's had training before. Granting that they had adequate training before, you ask them to play. Let's say they play. You can tell already if they have good ears, if they have good memory, if they have good rhythm, if they're good fingers, if it's natural. You see, technique. The best technique is the most natural technique. Your fingers are there, prepared. I mean, I look for that, and plus I look for some kind of musical personality, and I look for intelligence. You see, I don't believe in burnout. Maybe there are some burnouts, but really, I don't believe in that, basically. Some people are very, very talented coats, right? They have good ears, good facility, good reflexes, and good memory even, but they only go so far. It's because they have, let's say, great talent, but they can only go so far if they don't have the brains to back it up. So I asked them, how are you in school? What's your best subject? I mean, there will always be exceptions, of course, but as a rule, pianists, conductors, organists, people who deal with a lot of material, at the same time going on. Not necessarily violinists. That's a different kind of intelligence, musical intelligence. But it doesn't hurt to have this kind of intelligence, this organizational intelligence.
You mean a general intelligence that would show itself somewhere else?
No, but there is such a thing as organizational intelligence, where you can see a lot of apparently unrelated material and are able to make relationships. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Well, you're good in math, aren't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, oh yeah. That's
Almost all pianists are good pianists
math
are
and
good in
computers,
math.
yeah.
Almost all.
And I would call that intuitive, to seek connections that maybe aren't immediately.
Yeah, well, all of them are good in school as a rule, really. Now, some of them are very good in spelling.
Mhm.
You know why? Because it helps in playing piano because it's for memory. You know, if it doesn't look right, it's wrong,
Yeah,
right?
because they're learning. I mean, music is a language,
Uh-huh.
written language.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Then also, they're good in, like this 6-year-old boy I was telling you, he can mimic any accent. It's the ears, up to the subtlest little inflections. Sometimes he comes in here with a rich Irish, the thickest Irish brogue, or sometimes like a Japanese, you know.
No kidding.
Uh-huh. He talks like that.
He's at 6?
No, he's not 6 anymore.
Oh.
I mean, these are what I look for at an audition. And of course, you test rhythm and all that. But basic intelligence plus this very specialized kind of intelligence. Then I also look at the parents. They're part of the audition. If you're dealing with, young children.
Do you reject? I mean, do sometimes you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean.
Well, most of the time I have to reject because I'm so full. I mean, I have a waiting list. Now, if there's some real hot shot talent,
Yeah.
then I'll have to add on to my Sunday schedule or probably get rid of someone who is not being very productive. There are some very, very talented kids who are just not producing. I mean,
So you'll send them
somewhere else. Hmm.
How do you do that? I mean, I think.
But
other
sometimes,
teachers-
sometimes it's because maybe it's not the kid. Maybe it's the kid and me. In other words, maybe I've lost my charisma for the kid. Part of it is, they come in
Chemistry.
here. I have to inspire these kids. I don't even think that consciously I have to inspire this kid. A good teacher will inspire a student, and this kid will work to please you. That's basically what it is. Well, also to please himself. He has to please
Sure,
himself.
sure.
And also the parents, of course.
Now, most teachers probably don't have this luxury, if I could call it that, of sending kids away. How do you handle that? Are you direct
It's
about
very
it?
hard.
I mean, I think it would be.
It depends. You see, there's so many things. So I used to make the director do my dirty work, but then after a while, he refused to do it.
Yeah.
But the best way to handle this is to be as straightforward as you can. Now, I have problems also of other very talented kids who are studying with another teacher and want to study with me because they've seen, television, and my student won this and whatever. And, I have to bend over backwards to be nice to my colleagues. Not only in this area, but other places, other states. Well, I have kids coming from Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, New York,
Uh-huh.
who come here regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I have to bend over backwards. If it doesn't take too much energy on my part, if it's no sweat, it's an ugly expression, then I'll do it.
Give a lesson, you mean?
No. Nice to the teachers and the parents. Because, I get backlash. Do you know
Oh.
what I mean?
You mean they come here for?
No, to the other teacher. But I'm saying that I have students now
Yeah.
who want to study with me. And now, there's one case, or several cases. I said, well, you're still very young. You're only 9 years old or 10 years old. Or I tell the parents, he's won this contest and that contest. He's doing very well with this teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I said, when you may be a little more advanced, I'll want to hear you again, and then we'll think seriously about, switching.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the best way to handle this situation is to be very straightforward. Then there are less problems. It's just less problems.
You mean if they're studying with someone?
I talk with the teacher even.
Mm-hmm.
I call them up or meet with them or whatever.
Mm-hmm. To maintain a good relationship.
Well,
if you can.
maybe that teacher will be a judge in another. I just have to,
Yeah.
you have to think of everything.
Yeah.
There's just no method. You teach each kid. There are basic concepts, basic things that I teach everybody. Even basic material, Like they all have to play this Beethoven sonata, or this. Let's say one of the things that I teach is the Mozart Fantasy in D minor, because there are so many things you can learn in that piece. So many. It's not that it's a standardized repertoire. Well, it is because there are certain pieces that you learn a lot from. Like Pathétique. I mean, I remember you played that. I remember very well. Now, there's an 8-year-old boy. No, I have one of the best Pathetiques I've ever heard in my life is played by this 12-year-old boy. He played 2 recitals in Washington, D.C. about 2 months ago. And he's in the finals of the National Federation of Music Club. It is the most beautiful one of the most beautiful Pathetiques I ever heard.
And you don't hear that piece.
The last time I really heard it very well done was Barenboim several years ago.
Yeah.
It was absolutely gorgeous, especially the introduction. And this boy just does it.
I almost had the feeling with like these kids in sports also. They're so young, they almost don't know that it's supposed to be difficult.
Well, you see, what they don't know doesn't harm
Right.
them.
In that case, it doesn't.
These kids, I said, learn this magnitude, double third. All my kids, I really feel that if you don't do the double thirds young enough, you'll never do it.
Yeah.
Unless you have a special gift, like Ashkenazi, his double notes are just built in,
Yeah.
But I have 11. Very, very fast. This girl who played all the Opus 25, Danny Pollack, was head of the jury. Made me hear the double thirds and the winter wind. And I told this kid, I said, most probably they'll ask for those, and I guessed right. Although she's played in the workshop several times, all those 12 etudes.
Those were the only 2?
That they asked for in the preliminaries.
And cold?
Oh, you see, they play upstairs. She has to start with the Scarborough. It's almost a different ball game from when I was studying, when you were studying.
It's a different world,
It's like figure skating.
I thought of that when I watched the championship.
That
the
Midori, Ito, and
Ito.
she does things better than the men.
But the kids work hard. I mean, from what I learned on the
It's
TV,
more,
they go live with their coaches when they're 11 or 12,
Well, not necessarily. Do you remember that boy that played? He was going to Loyola. He played the Mendelssohn. You were in the concert. He was a hockey player, and he was the Midwest Juniors figure skating champion.
No kidding.
I mean, he was in everything.
Huh.
He was in the championship. He was the goalie in the hockey. I mean, he did go to Dartmouth.
I remember, yeah.
Mike Meehan.
I remember.
Remember him?
Yes, I do.
You played the Bach. The Bach.
You have an unbelievable memory.
And I thought you should have won because I knew what he could do. And I heard you, and I heard you in the workshop. But you can never account for judges' tastes. When my kids enter competitions.
What do you do about careers? That's another big
I
topic.
discourage most of my students to taking music professionally, except very, very few.
In other words,
Some of them.
You don't have an agenda that they go into music professionally.
No.
Even though you want them to be as good as they can be.
Well, if they're gonna do if you're gonna take that tennis or you're gonna take this whatever, you can't enjoy it unless you're good at it. So whatever you do to your utmost capabilities. At the utmost of your abilities. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you can't enjoy it. I mean, I can't enjoy tennis. I can hardly hit a ball. My whole family played tennis except me. I couldn't hit a ball. But of course, I never had time. I had to practice.
I don't mean to mention. I mean, is Dahlia? I want to talk about her specifically.
Yeah, but
is she going to be professional or?
We don't know.
She's taking. It's not for sure.
She's at Harvard and she's taking with Russell Sherman, and he loves her. I don't know what she's going to do with it.
Does she have a other major? Is music her major?
I don't know. She's taking a straight liberal arts course at Harvard. Now I have another one who is at Curtis. Fantastic.
So that's probably a professional.
Yeah,
goal.
she's If
you're going
there are others. Yeah, I know for a fact now of my advanced students. It's very hard to say, but I would say 1, 2, 3. I think 3 could make it. It's very seldom I would encourage them.
So what you're saying is you have good students,
N-
talented.
One of my
amazing,
very, very best
but
over
you-
the years is not going to be a professional pianist. Somebody heard him. He played the Copland. Well, he played the Bach Prelude and Fugue in D minor. Played Mozart K311, D major. He played Ballade in G minor, The Winter Wind, and then the Copland Variations. He heard this on tape. There was a convention, and our director brought some of people here, to show off, or to show off the school, whatever, or to show the school. And they came in the middle there. So I said, well, all I have is this tape. They heard this tape. He's never heard, for example, that Mozart Sonata played as beautifully as that.
Who
Never
was
heard.
that?
One of my students,
Mhm.
and he's going to be a doctor.
Who heard it?
One of the, they were here at the
Teacher,
convention,
yeah.
concert pianist, from Texas. He said, oh, what I've lost to the musical world. I said, well, maybe, I don't know. But it's really fantastic what this
Mhm.
boy does.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely the most beautiful playing. It almost,
So-
it's so beautiful, almost the man was sitting here, it's almost tears in his eyes. And it's only a tape, it's not even a live performance.
So, the career is, you don't think about
I
unless,
teach to make music, I don't teach to make a career.
except for those very exceptions.
Well, I don't even think about that. Usually the ones who think they will make a career out of it are very, very top,
Mhm.
But I have some people at the very top who are not going to go into music
Yeah.
professionally.
I mean, the competition is so. I mean, I know for myself,
Mhm.
it's literally unreal. And
Yeah.
over the last 20 years, it's gotten more unreal. That's been my perception. I wouldn't know what to do. There are so many.
Yeah, I mean,
How do you choose?
well, look at this girl who plays the Brahms second. She has the Tchaikovsky. She played the Brahms last week. She's playing it in 10 days, something like that, or in 2 weeks. She's gonna play the Schumann with another orchestra in about a month. She played the Beethoven third last month. I mean, plus she's playing solo repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
And this girl is 16. And you know what? She plays it so beautifully. She played the Schumann, and one of my colleagues said, she's a former pupil of Sheville, a wonderful pianist. Caroline McCracken. She said, that girl is an artist. They play this repertoire, but they play it so beautifully. Not just well, but beautifully. And that's the level that it's.
I
I
understand.
mean, she said I haven't heard a Schumann as beautiful as that. And she learns it so fast.
Carolyn is teaching here, isn't
Mhm.
she? Yeah. Yeah. I heard her at Orchestra Hall.
Mhm.
It was wonderful.
Exciting.
I thought it was wonderful.
Uh-huh.
I thought the critic. Yeah, the critic. It was a good.
Oh, she got rave
She
reviews.
got a good review.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right.
She got rave reviews. And she deserved it. I don't know what the other paper said. I read the Tribune.
Yeah, I don't remember which one I read.
Mhm.
That's right. She studied with Schubert. He was another non-method teacher.
I feel
No.
that Pressler is a non-method. That is, I mean,
He has a few.
the basic
I didn't
things. Yeah.
study with him. But,
I
yeah.
thought you studied with Pressler.
No.
Sheba?
No, Walter Robert.
Oh, Walter Robert. Yeah.
I played in chamber music class for Schubert,
Mm-hmm.
maybe twice. It's an interest. He's
He's
weird.
different things to different people.
Yeah. He's a genius.
Uh-huh.
He's a real psychiatrist. I
Mhm.
mean,
And he doesn't do it consciously, I bet.
I don't think so. No.
You see, that's the-
he probably even knows what tone of voice to speak with you. I
Yes,
mean,
you see,
it's
this is
weird.
exactly what my students tell me. Some of my students think I'm
Yeah,
funny, I'm hilarious.
Yeah.
Some of the kids think I'm so mean, and some of them think I'm very, very nice.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just am that way with different kids.
Yeah, you don't think about it.
Now, of course, one, kid, she's now at Yale, came here and attended the lesson of her younger sibling. She was probably on vacation. Mr. D, you're mellowing, you're so nice. Well, maybe I am. I said, oh, maybe she's just better than you. She said, oh, you're still mean.
Yeah. You wanted to talk about competitions and
Well, a
I mean-
contest is only as good as the contestants and the judges. and
That's a good statement.
repertoire.
Yeah.
In a contest, if I find out who the judges are, or when I'm if I do attend, I very seldom can attend contests because I'm always so busy. If the judges are good, if they're first class musicians and pianists, or it could be or pianists, but if they're first class, then they have to be good musicians, Then I'm very calm. I know what my students can do, and then I'm very complacent about
Whatever.
yeah. In other words, I'm especially if I have a real hotshot student in this contest, I'm very comfortable about it. But when the judges are less than the best, then it could go any which way. You never know.
You're nervous.
No, you never know what they're gonna do. A first class musician, I feel, will hear and immediately, some people go for the obvious, and these are not the first class musicians and pianists. If they move a lot, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that impresses me. You just can see through that. A first class judge.
That's an interesting observation because we think of the Tchaikovsky, the Leventrit competition as being the same competition every 5 years, but it's a different collection of judges every time. So it's really a different.
Well, there are some basic judges
maybe
there.
But the makeup of the jury. I mean, I know in the Van Cliburn competition, I think it's different.
Yeah, it's different. But there are some people who are repeaters.
Yeah,
Who are they?
some-
Maybe because they're good judges,
Yeah, I hope.
or because they're available. Sometimes the best judges are so busy.
Right.
Not
It takes
only
2
judging
weeks.
but playing.
Yeah, and that takes 2 weeks
Uh-huh.
sometimes for the major,
Mhm.
or even longer.
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks. Yeah.
Well, 2 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Do you talk with your students about this? I mean, do you get, before they go into a competition, do you talk about these things so they know what they're getting into?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well, after a while, the
They
the
learn.
world is so small now. My students who have been in national contests and international contests even, they make friends, or their telephone bills must be terrible. They talk to each other. They know who's good in Texas. They know
Oh, I
who's.
see.
You know what I mean? And they meet their peers. They learn the ins and outs of contests.
Yeah.
They learn, that judge, he likes lyrical playing. So I said, look, you have to have everything. When you enter a contest, you have to play beautifully, and then you have to also play spectacularly. Then you can't miss. I mean, you have to have both kinds of repertoire.
You give them special help before a competition, or I suppose it depends on how much time.
All of them are in contests, you see, so I
They're
treat
always
everybody
in-
the same.
I see.
One time we counted in my class, there were 41 contest winners one year.
How many students do you have at
I don't know.
at one given?
I refuse to count because I'll
More than
retire.
30?
Oh, yes.
More.
If I counted them, the office might know, the registrar. I'll just stop teaching, stop dead like them. I teach probably about 70 hours a week, more. I teach from like 11 or 10 straight through until 10 at night, 10:15, 10:30. I don't take lunch nor dinner. I eat at around midnight.
You eat at home. You don't eat during the day?
Well, I eat a bite between scales of a sandwich. I bring a sandwich.
And the kids are coming at 10 and 11? Or at 9?
11? No, not in the morning, no.
Yeah, I mean in the evening.
Oh, yes.
At this
Yes. Because they have no choice, or I have no choice.
I mean, they must be motivated internally on their own.
Oh, yes, they have to
I
be.
mean,
You have,
you can't do that for them. I don't think.
no, it's a combination of the kid himself, me, and the parents.